Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 7 in my Magic the Gathering Core Set 2021 bundle. The focus of my video is, what is your pick? As I crack the pack, I will discuss which card would be my pack one, pick one from a very casual Magic the Gathering player perspective. A kitchen table draft, having fun with friends opinion. So check out my preview video for my Core Set 2021 bundle. I've included a link in the description below. Okay, let's make sure we don't have a foil, which we don't. So we'll go land, rare, 3 uncommons, rare, land. All right. First card is Rousing Reed, 3 mana, 2 and a blue, Enchantment Ore. Enchant creature, when Rousing Reed enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. Best common, I think, in blue. Enchant a creature, give it flying, give it +1/+1. What's even more impactful is drawing 2 cards, discarding a land, and you're off to the races. Next up is Duress. 1 black mana. Sorcery, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. It's a card to hold on to, play maybe a little bit later in the game, and grab their best kill spell or shenanigan spell. Next up is Life Goes On, single green mana, instant, you gain 4 life. If a creature died this turn, you gain 8 life instead. Even with morbid type ability giving it a bonus of 8 life, it's still not a card I'm playing in limited. Next up is Gale Swooper, 4 mana, 3 and a white, Griffin. At 3/2, it's a flyer. When Gale Swooper enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn. You've got a big, beefier creature. Giving it flying and going in for the last bits of damage is exactly what you want to do with Gale Swooper. Next up is Wishcoin Crab, 4 mana, 3 and a blue. It's Crab at 2/5. It's a card that I rarely play. It's something that I might play as the 23rd card, maybe as a ground blocker against a really aggressive deck. Next up is Rise Again, 5 mana, 4 and a black. It's a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I like this in a reanimation deck in limited. Maybe you played your bomb and they killed it. You've got Rise Again to bring your bomb back out. In slower decks where you've got bigger creatures, even in mill decks where you're going to put creatures in your graveyard, Rise Again shines. Ranger's Guile, single green mana, instant, target creature you control gets +1/+1, gains hexproof until end of turn. This is a card that I really like in green. Sometimes it can be used as a combat trick, but more often than not, you're going to hold it into your hand. After you've played your bomb, you're going to use this to protect it. Next up is Frantic Inventory, 1 and a blue, instant, draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard. This card would probably be great if Opt wasn't already in the format. Unless you're able to draft multiple copies of this, it still loses to Opt, which is so much more efficient at a single mana, scry, and draw a card. Next up is Feat of Resistance, 2 mana, 1 and a white, instant, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Fantastic card, probably one of the best commons in white. It goes well in the white-green counters deck. In fact, it goes well in just about any deck that runs white because you're going to be able to protect your creature and leave behind a +1/+1 counter. Next up is Goblin Wizardry, 4 mana, 3 and a red, instant, create 2 1/1 red Goblin Wizard creature tokens with prowess. I don't think this card is very good. Even if you are playing a spells deck, sure, on your opponent's turn you can play this, put out 2 goblins with prowess. I just feel in the blue-red spells deck that there are other cards that you want to be playing on turn 4. Next up is Sanctum of Calm Waters, 4 mana, 3 and a blue, legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. So it kind of gives you a looter effect every turn. I would probably only play this in the most controlly of blue decks, where you know you're going to be going for the long game. You can pair this with any of the shrines, and it's going to give you incremental value. And paired with Teferi's tutelage, you might be able to mill your opponent out. Funny enough, our next uncommon is Teferi's Tutelage. 3 mana, 2 and a blue, enchantment. When Teferi's Tutelage enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. So we got the showcase version of it. That's pretty cool. Teferi's Tutelage is definitely a game-winning card in Limited. If you build around it and you have enough draw in your deck, you will mill your opponent out. Teferi's Tutelage is probably the best blue uncommon in the set. Our final uncommon is Malefic Scythe. 2 mana, 1 and a black. Artifact equipment. Malefic Scythe enters the battlefield with a soul counter on it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each soul counter on Malefic Scythe. Whenever equipped creature dies, put a soul counter on Malefic Scythe. Equip 1 generic. It probably fits best in the black-red sacrifice deck. It has a relatively cheap equip cost that allows you to move it onto creatures after the previous creatures died. But it seems to be a little bit of a slow card, and the black-red sacrifice deck is a pretty aggressive deck. Okay, will we get a cool rare or a mythic rare? We have Hooded Blightfang. 3 mana, 2 and a black, creature snake, a 1/4 with death touch. Whenever a creature you control with death touch attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever a creature you control with death touch deals damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker. I think if there's a little bit more death touch in the limited environment, Hooded Blightfang could do some work. On its own, it's going to hold down the fort. A 1/4 death toucher is going to take out most any creature, and it's going to take a while before your opponent has a creature to deal with it, and they're going to lose their creature. If you're into attacking with it, it's a 2-point life swing, and you're going to gain a life. Okay, and then we have our Thornwood Falls and a 1/1 soldier. The best card out of the pack, in my opinion, is Teferi's Tutelage. It definitely is a blue uncommon that you can build around and win the game. There are plenty of draw spells in blue. Opt, Frantic Inventory. If you have one of the Sanctum of Calm Waters, you pair it with another Sanctum. There are a couple of creatures that also draw you cards. There's a common blue Looter. If you build the deck correctly, Teferi's Tutelage is definitely a win condition, and your opponents will be groaning because you're going to be milling them out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comment section what your favorite card or best card out of the pack was. Until next time, when I'm back to crack pack number 8 in my Magic the Gathering Core Set 2021 bundle in What Is Your Pick?